Street art essentially was a form of expression through graffiti that can be dated back as far as the 1920s and 1930s. The place in which graffiti was heavily used in was in New York during these times. However, those who tagged onto walls were mostly members of gangs. Thus, the use of graffiti was to allow non-members of said gang to realize that they have stepped foot into their turf. Although the art of graffiti wasn't emphasized as much back then, it made a huge impact in the 1970s and 80s. During this time period, the idea of street art had become known and practiced amongst young people. Gangs were still very much affiliated with graffiti, but instead of trying to alert people of the parameters of their territory, many young people used this form of expression as an art of resistance. Also, during this time period, there was an uprising in regards to the living conditions. There was social inequality, police brutality, and the crack epidemic and the state of war on crime and drugs. These factors had caused many individuals to seek solace in any form other than something that would incriminate them. Street art and early forms of graffiti have thus turned into something deeper than just tagging on walls. It became a way for individuals to tell other people that they are there and managing to survive even within the current state of their own town. Street art hadn't reached its peak with just graffiti. However, graffiti did allow other people to see the artistic expression in the streets. Since then, street art has taken it a step further and is now viewed as contemporary art. There are many different types of styles of street art. This is stencil art. There are also murals, and there is wheat pasting. A famous street artist, Dan B., who also goes by the name of Faux Real, has paved his way into the streets by creating murals, stencil art, and wet pastings of people he encounters, thus giving faceless people faces to the community. Faux Real gives a ghostly effect in these two images, almost as if the faces are blending into the backgrounds. And in essence, in reality, that's exactly what happens in everyday life. People fade into the background, leaving them as a vague memory in each and every one of our existence. But Faux Real wants his observers to see that true beauty of our imperfections, whether it's our facial expressions or the current state that we're living in, actually do exist, and we just need to take the time out to see them. Out of all the artwork that Faux Real has created, the main ones that I want to focus on come from his The Unaddressed project. And in this project, he chooses people that are homeless in Toronto and asks them to say a statement that represents their current conditions as being homeless in Toronto. And through this, he depicts how homeless are kind of put to the side and don't really matter in Toronto. And this specific photo, it's a part of Faux Real's The Unaddressed project, where he goes around and asks different homeless people to express themselves using one sentence or more. And in this specific photograph, the one on the left, you could see obviously this is the one he had recently done, had just plastered up and everything. And on the right hand side, you could see how everybody else's reactions were to that specific photo. The individual in this picture is Martin Beebe, and he is a homeless man from Toronto. His statement is, "I'd rather beg than steal," which proves that most people living in poverty actually resort to crime. And in this instance, he'd rather ask and hope or live off the goodness of people as opposed to stealing and becoming a criminal and engaging in this correlation between poverty and crime. So in this picture, it is all black and white, just like many of the other photographs that For Real has taken in this specific project, the Unaddressed project, because it depicts how society views things, how society either views things as black or white, nothing in between, never anything more, never anything less. And in this instance, what better way for it to be than a homeless man like Martin Beebe? And you can obviously tell that he is actually homeless by the sign, that the battered sign that he's holding, and the clothes that he's wearing, the demeanor he has. Also, if you look to the right hand side of the slide, it shows how society had actually reacted to this picture that For Real has posted. So in essence, you see how homeless people are treated in society in general. They aren't treated as a human. They aren't treated as someone who cannot fend for themselves. They're treated as lazy, and in those other pictures you see asshole, you see prick, and this is exactly the way that society is viewing them. And this is exactly what For Real not necessarily wanted. He didn't want these negative comments, but he did want everybody to realize that this is a social problem. The inequality of our socio statuses and socioeconomic statuses and all that is a real thing, and it needs to be fixed. It needs to be addressed.